And Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman condemns the murder of Khashoggi Jamal and vows to bring perpetrators to book. My name is Brenda Zadaradido. Welcome to the program. Now, the Meteorological Department has warned coast residents to brace for heavy rains. The Meteorological Department says the heavy rains, which will be accompanied by strong winds, are expected to affect Kwale, Mombasa, Kilifi, Tana River and Lamu counties. Now, fishermen are also warned of strong waves in the ocean. The warning comes days after hundreds of families left their homes for safer areas in Tana River County for fear of floods. Now, residents of Galole and Tana Delta in the county have started pitching camp on higher grounds.
Much of the country is likely to experience above average rainfall. The distribution of the rainfall in time and space is expected to be good over most places, especially during the peak month of November. The onset of the OND 2018 seasonal rainfall is expected to be timely over most of the country. Now, the actual forecast. The short rains October, November, December season constitutes an important rainfall season in Kenya, and more so in the central and southeastern regions. During this period, it is expected that most parts of the country will experience enhanced rainfall that will also be well distributed, both in time and space. This will be more so over northeastern, northwestern, western, central, and coastal regions of Kenya. The expected onset, cessation, and distribution of rainfall are derived from canonical correlation analysis of historical rainfall data, as well as statistical analysis of past years, which exhibited similar characteristics to the 2018 year. The specific outlook for October, November, December is as follows. The areas likely to receive above normal, that is highly enhanced rainfall, include western counties, Busia, Vihiga, Kakamega, Bungoma, Nyanza counties, Kisumu, Siaya, Homa Bay, Nyamira, Migori, Kisii.
All right, you've heard it from the Kenya Meteorological Department, but even as some of the residents in Tana River County move to higher grounds, the county government is warning that it will not compensate anyone affected by the floods. Now, Governor Dado Godana says his government has already set up rescue centers where those in high-risk areas are supposed to move to.
Kutakuwa na mafuriko ya kasi, itakuja kwa kasi, na pia kuwa na nguvu zaidi na kuathiri kwa viwango vikubwa wale ambao wanaishi kando kando na wale sana ambao wamerudi tena katika sehemu zile zimeathirika. Sisi kama serikali tuna mipango ya kuwasaidia. Tayari tumenunua watabusa 3 za viwango vya lita 10,000 kila watabusa, ambazo tunataka moja kuiweka sehemu za Bura, moja Tana River, moja Tana Delta. Na pia tumeshirikiana na Red Cross katika ule mpango wa nyumba za bei nafuu.
All right, so right now I'd like us to talk to Governor Dado Godana concerning the warning given by the Kenya Meteorological Department and what his county government is doing. He's now joining us by way of phone. Thank you so much, Honorable Dado Godana, for speaking to us here on KTN News Center. Do you still stand by your word that anyone affected by the floods will not be compensated by your county government?
Yeah, we had informed members of the public that we will not be doing the evacuations for those who will not be moving to higher grounds, because we have already passed the message on the meteorological report on the severity of the floods that are coming, and we had already identified so we have already identified areas where they can move to. So we really don't see why any of them still would insist to stay in those flood areas. So we said our our boats will be used to supply drugs and other relief supplies. But for someone who does not want to move out, again, does not enjoy the leisure of being evacuated.
So, Honorable Godana, what are you going to do to ensure that every resident of Tana River County moves to a safer ground? Because there are those who are in interior places.
This exercise did not start today. We had the floods before. There was a warning before the floods. Then after the floods, we were also warned again that there would be floods. The report that came the other day was an updated one from the past, warning that there would be floods, and they gave us the magnitude of the flood that is expected. All this information has been communicated to the people. The higher grounds have been identified before, during the previous flood. And so they have been there. Some people have moved to those higher grounds, all of them, most of the people. But there are those who, after the floods, they went back again. And these are the people who are telling them that they moved back to where they were before the other flood comes. So it is our hope that they all know they have no reason to stay there, and wait. The higher grounds are already identified all across the county, from Tana North to Tana River to Tana Delta. All the higher grounds that are safer are known.
So as much as you're saying that you will not compensate anyone who has been affected by the floods because the Kenya Meteorological Department issued a warning, a warning was also issued from your county government. What if the worst comes to the worst? Has your county government set aside a budget in terms of, to buy maybe relief food and provide medical services for affected residents of Tana River?
That one we have. The compensation we are saying, the facilities that they will not enjoy is evacuation the way we had done it before. This one is not surprising, but in terms of food supplies and drugs, we already have some supplies in store. We also have arrangements to bring in more trucks. It's only that we have been delayed because of delays in budget and getting funds. But we have already planned for that. And also we have just the other day launched 3 water boosters to be able to supply clean water to those camps. We are going to deploy 1 water booster to Tana North, and another one to Tana River, and another one to the Tana Delta. These water boosters are 10,000 liter capacity water boosters. We also have 100 collapsible tanks, which we want to deploy to these camps in water collection points, where the water boosters will deliver the water and people will be able to collect water from them.
So, Honorable Godana, you're saying that yes, there's a delay in terms of the release of the budget. When are your residents of Tana River County likely to hear the budget is out in terms of emergency? And how much is your county government planning to set aside?
Initially, we have in our budget around 220 million. That is the budget for the special programs kitty. And we believe with the stock that we have, plus the 220 that we expect, we will be able to comfortably handle part of what we can manage. The county government still does not have an emergency legal framework, but the bill is still at the Assembly awaiting deliberation.
So as you're speaking,
of course, this disaster is the magnitude of it will not be very fair to say that county government will be managed to handle see it fully.
So, Honorable Godana, as you're speaking right now, what you're confirming to residents of Tana River County through KTN News Center, it is that your county government will be able to handle any occurrences that may happen during this flooding in your county, and that we should not, hear from your county government asking for appeal.
Yes, we can, to the level that we can afford. The basic things that will be required, we are prepared to do. We are prepared to deliver logistical services, say the drugs, the reliefs, basic evacuations we can still do, but we have water we can still deliver. The biggest problem we have is shelter for in those cluster villages.
All right.
The Red Cross, working with us, had already agreed to facilitate cheap houses, two-bedroom houses, to 2,509 households.
Okay.
But the program hadn't started yet, and the flood is already caught up with us. So,
okay, Honorable Godana, as we bring this conversation to an end, what would you like to tell parents and especially students who are sitting for this year's KCPE and KCSE exams, owing to the fact that KCSE exams oral examination began this week? What would you like to tell them? What is your county government going to do to ensure that all these students are catered for and they sit for the exams uninterrupted?
That one has already been taken care of because there are no students now in those flood-affected areas. In the previous arrangement, we had already identified schools in safer places where the students had moved to go and learn. So through the Department of Education and the Director of Education, they have already made those arrangements to ensure that students had already secured schools where there will be no much effect. Even those areas in the hinterland where they are normally cut off have already been moved to sit for exams in their cell. So I'm very sure there is no student who will be able to miss exams because of the floods. And mine is to wish them well as they start to sit for exams.
All right, thank you so much, Tana River County Governor Dado Godana, talking to us about the weather situation in Tana River County and what the county government has done rather in terms of preparation and assuring all candidates that they will do the exams uninterrupted despite the weather that we are currently seeing. Now, before we cross over to a neighboring country, Tanzania, and also look at the weather situation over there, I'd like us to have a look at a Super Bowl this morning. Now, following the alert by the Kenya Meteorological Department, residents of the following areas should be on the lookout for floods. Now, these are residents of Kwale, Mombasa, Kilifi, Tana River and Lamu counties. Let me just repeat that for you. It is that residents of Tana River, Kwale, Mombasa, Kilifi and Lamu counties ought to be on the outlook because the weatherman says that these areas will experience more rainfall than the usual, because we understand that rainfall of more than 30 millimeters in 24 hours is expected over the entire coastal region of Kenya, and the rainfall is expected to intensify to more than 40 millimeters in 24 hours today along the southern coast. And we've spoken to Tana River County Governor Dado Godana, saying that he has done all he can as the governor for that county to ensure that his residents are safe and to ensure that also candidates will be sitting for this year's national examination sit for the exams as uninterrupted. So far, he says that some of the candidates have been moved to other schools to sit for that examination centers. So far, areas within the coastal region that have been put on alert is Kwale, Mombasa, Kilifi, Tana River and Lamu counties. Now, I'd like us to cross over to a neighboring country, that is Tanzania, where the Tanzanian weatherman, that is the TMA, has issued an alert warning of strong winds reaching up to 40 kilometers per hour and large waves exceeding 2 meters across the coast of Tanzania. It is also reported that thousands of passengers have been stranded after the suspension of marine services between the business city of Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar Island. Rajab Hassan reports from Dar es Salaam.
This is a rare occurrence in the city of Dar es Salaam. It is coastal status notwithstanding. Strong winds blowing around objects is a strong departure from the usual in Tanzania's hottest region. Meteorological experts are keenly studying the weather forecast, following a discovery that the entire coast of Indian Ocean and some areas lying within the southern and northern region of Tanzania fall in the path of strong winds that will exceed 40 kilometers per hour.
On 26th and 27th, we are expecting this situation to disappear. And we as government are working closely with other institutions in the government to make sure that there is no any heavy impact to happen in the society. So all the relevant sectors, they have been informed about this so that they can take action to reduce any impact that might occur.
The Tanzania Meteorological Agency has also announced the warning of unexpectedly large waves, some exceeding 2 meters, along the entire Indian Ocean coast, across Lake Victoria, Lake Tanganyika and Lake Nyasa.
We have the ferry operating, for instance, between Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar. So if they are not going to take care of this information, means we are going to expect a severe impact.
But the Tanzania Meteorological Agency say that until now there are no damage reports. However, consequences might occur if people continue ignoring the warnings. Residents here experience heavy winds, and authority here said that this situation will last for about 3 days. Due to strong winds and waves in the Indian Ocean, Azam Marine and Kilimanjaro Fast Ferries Company, the leading service provider in the region, have announced the suspension of services between Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar until the TMA and the Marine Transport Regulatory Authority give their green light for normal operations to resume. Rajab Hassan, KTN News, Dar es Salaam.
All right, now from Tanzania, let's get back home. And soon I'd like us to take a look at some statistics from this year's floods. And these statistics, we'll be looking at them county by county. But so far, a total of 172 people lost their lives during the floods that we saw earlier this year. And of course, about 84 people were injured, while 272,000 were displaced. Now, floods that happened earlier this year in 2018, as I've told you earlier, we lost about 172 Kenyans, 84 were injured, and we had 272,000 people displaced. Let's look at this in terms of the counties, and we begin with the Tana River County, where 16 deaths were reported during the floodings that happened this year, and 150,000 people were displaced. Now, from Tana River, let's look at what happened in Turkana County. Only 1 death was reported, and about 30,000 people were displaced during the flooding. Now, to the neighboring county, that is Garissa, about 3 deaths were reported and 7,250 people were displaced during the floodings that happened early this year. So that is a breakdown of some of the affected counties and the number of deaths that were reported and the number of people that were displaced during the flooding that happened early this year. So I'll just leave you with a bit of that breakdown so that you can have a look at it. All right, so now I want us to talk to our Mombasa-based reporter, Francis Mtelaki, just to paint for us a picture of what the situation is like in Mombasa when it comes to the weather. Mtelaki, good morning and thank you so much for talking to us here on KTN News Center. What is the weather like in Mombasa County? Because in Nairobi it's a bit chilly, and also owing to the fact that the weatherman has issued an alert to residents of some of the counties in the coastal region.
Well, since yesterday it has been raining, and the weather here seems to be rainy since yesterday, and some of the residents of Mombasa have been having hard time in terms of going to work. Currently I'm within Nyerere Road, as you can see, it has been raining since morning, and the transport sector seems to be affected also. That is the situation that is happening here after the weatherman had wonderful heavy rains and flooding in the coast region, and specifically in Mombasa, where we are on high alert. And the coast region also has been experiencing the rains, such as areas like Tana River. You would appreciate that even the governor of Tana River also issued an alert saying that warning of the residents of Tana River to be able to move to higher grounds so that they can be able to be safe. And currently, this is the situation as per what has been happening since yesterday. It has been happening. It has been raining here in Mombasa early morning. The rains have been here with us, and this is the situation so far. So those are some of the vehicles coming from the ferry, coming into the CBD. They're having a hard time to cross that area, and across many of the streets. Across many of the streets are experiencing this situation, and what we can be able to say is that residents also have been having hard time in terms of going to work, and also looking at the situation in areas like Kisauni. Those are some of the areas that are flooding. And maybe to give you a perspective in terms of the coast region and the areas that are said to be on high alert include the 5 counties, that is Kwale, Mombasa, Kilifi, and Tana River, as well as Lamu County. And the rains here is as per the directive that was given by the Meteorological Department some few days ago, that there will be rains beginning yesterday all through to Saturday, and so the residents need to be on high alert, and the county government of Mombasa is making sure that any incident that will be reported, that they're going to take care of it. We've been able to speak to a number of the officials from the county government with regard to the rains. And so, Brenda, this is the situation here as per the rains and the alert that was given by the Meteorological Department.
And Mtelaki,
Brenda.
Mtelaki can hear you. Mtelaki, just from looking at the pictures that you've shown, and of course they're on our screens right now, it is flooded roads, and you've said that you've talked to the county government, but the question is, what are they doing to ensure that the flooded roads becomes a thing of the past when it comes to the drainage system?
Well, the issue seems to be huge in terms of the drainage, and so this could be some of the challenges maybe are coming up in terms of the rains. And so they're saying that they're making their plans to make sure that the drainage system has been upgraded and improved, so as to be able to assist or make sure that when it rains in such a situation, then the situation can be contained. But currently, in many of the areas, we could be able to say that the situation could be the same as here in Nyerere Road, where in Mombasa it has been raining since yesterday early morning. It has been raining, and also this could also be having an impact in terms of the tourism sector, given that we are in the peak season. And so if the situation is not contained, then it could have an effect with regard to the tourism sector. And remember, the counties also that are being affected outside Mombasa, looking at the coast region, basically such as Lamu and Kilifi. These are also counties that depend largely on tourism, as well as Kwale County, which is across the ferry. And so it will be important also to the other counties to make sure that their drainage is okay, no major incidents could be reported. They can be able to contain it so as to be able to continue cashing in terms of the tourism sector, given that we are into the peak season, and so the tourism tourists or both foreign and to the domestic that are here in Mombasa can be able to continue to enjoy the beauty of Mombasa, the beauty of Coast Region, and what is in stake with regard to the tourism sector. Brenda.
Ntalaki, talking about containing the situation, the flooding that we're seeing right now in Mombasa County, I don't know whether you've managed to talk to the county government in terms of their level of preparedness should any eventualities happen during this flooding.
Well, according to the county government of Mombasa, they are on high alert and they are monitoring the situation in making sure that everything that is going to be happening with regard to the rains can be able to handle it in time. But the situation here in terms of the drainage, that could be the major challenge for the county government of Mombasa in making sure that everything is in place. But this is a huge problem. It didn't begin yesterday. It has been there. So maybe the county government needs to step up in terms of making sure that the drainage has been, the drainage system has been improved, so that no incident could be happening. And then such incidents or such pictures that are coming to you live from Mombasa then could be a thing of the past, given that this area, this road is key to the economy of Mombasa. It connects Kwale County and the CBD, and for you to be able to access the ferry or the other side of Likoni and Kwale County, you must use this road. It's so important. So such incidents or such pictures that we are showing you live, courtesy of our cameraman, who is Boniface Kioko, then if the situation can be improved, the Mombasa could be in an important way, given that many of the